All right, today I'm going to be talking about using passing chords while doing some very common descending lines. It's a very nice thing to add to a progression. It really gives it a nice sense of motion, really spices things up without having to really learn a bunch of new chords. And these are very common. These will sound very familiar to you. Very common one is between C major and A minor, in between throwing in a B. This B is this passing chord in between. So think of America by Simon and Garfunkel. Right? So it's C to this B, to A minor to G to F. And so it's a nice little chord to throw in between so your bass line goes, which is pretty interesting, rather than just going to A minor to F. You're throwing in that motion in between. So if your progression is just C major to A minor, it's a nice thing just to throw in. Like if your song, say your verse is just C major to A minor. You know, it's a fine song, right? But it spices it up if you add the B in between. It's a real nice sense of motion. Your hand doesn't have to move very much. Okay. So it works well for C, for G. It's another nice one you can do. This is basically a D chord. It's an inversion of a D chord, but all you really need to know is that it's this slight shift here. What I like is doing the G like this with my my ring finger on the D on the B string. And the second chord, so imagine you're going from G, that G to E minor, and throwing this chord in between. It's a nice motion, and it gives it even more kind of lift if you really pick out the bass line. Really emphasize it in that way. You can also do it with F, is another very common one, like in Let It Be. So you're just going F. In this case, I'm doing F major 7. That's an E. It's basically an inversion of a C chord, but it's over an E bass note. So say you're going between F major and D minor. You can throw this chord in between. It really adds something nice to a progression. Really gives it a nice bass motion that otherwise you're not really doing if you're just playing between two chords. You add one of those in between. I hope that's useful. Please let me know any questions as always, and thanks for your interest.